Mike, the Philadelphia Phillies continue to frustrate me to no end. They get one game to being 500 again, and they go back and lose two more. They are just not a good team. And the problem I see, really, Mike, is that they're staying just close enough to the Braves and the Nationals. They're in third place now, that you think, oh, they can turn this around. If it's not for this injury here to Holiday or Adams or Howard. That's not the problem. They're a bad team. Even when these guys were healthy, they weren't doing 24 and 27 record. But here's the key stat for me. They have scored 178 runs. They've given up 221. You're not going to be a more than a 500 ball club if you're doing that. You're not going to win get into playoffs.
If you take away the Mets and the Marlins, they're like 10 games under 500. You mentioned the run differential. They've been blown out a number of times. You're right. They're not as good as their record indicates. They are what I thought they were going to be. And I don't even think – I can remember a lot of times during this long big picture run with Rollins, Utley, Howard, that group – remember a lot of times when they had around this record, around this time of year, and you thought they were underachieving, you thought there was a chance. I don't think anybody thinks that now. Maybe Ruben Amaro still does, but I mean, in general, I just don't think anybody sees that as a realistic scenario. My favorite statistic here, and I'm going to throw it out there: Cole Hamels has not thrown a pitch with the lead, has not thrown a pitch while his team was in the lead in a game since April 7th.
April 7th.
Come on.
How about pressure on a pitcher? I think you understand why he's frustrated a little bit. He has the most losses in baseball right now with 8 losses on the year. They have a 2-18 record when they've scored 2 runs or less. That's just not good. But it also gets to the point, if Troy Manuel is such a hitting guru, at times, don't you have somebody bunt to get on base? Maybe if it's Ben Revere and he steals second, or you sacrifice him. Do something more to manufacture runs, Mike. They sit there and just wait for the long ball. And Michael Young, as much as I thought he was going to do well, he's maybe getting singles. He's hitting into a lot of double plays. Maybe it's time to put Kevin Frandsen out there at third base and let the young guy play.
Well, the two guys
rough up here. I just do something different.
The two guys that they acquired to be everyday players, Revere and Michael Young, are guys that Revere always, and Young at this point in his career, they just hit the ball on the ground. You hit it. They just hit ground balls a lot. And a player like that, their batting average will fluctuate in the relatively short term because sometimes the ground balls get through the infield and sometimes they don't. It's entirely mostly about luck. So I mean, I was opposed to, as you know, I was opposed to both of those acquisitions, and I still am. And they have a bad lineup, so that even if you want to make the best case scenario going into this season, looking at the team on paper going into this season, you have these 3 big time starting pitchers. Of course, you don't have now, but and you had Adams and you had Papelbon, and you could make the argument, okay, we've got these guys. Well, they just don't have a good enough lineup to take advantage of those guys unless they're completely lights out. It's a bad team. They're fortunate to have the record they do. There's some pretty good teams that have worse records than they do. I mean,
Angels.
The Angels are coming, though. The Angels are coming, but I mean, this is not a good baseball team. Period.
I'm not sure how you fix it, though, and I don't know. You don't fire GM in the middle of a season. You usually do it to the end, but you do fire a manager to try to light a spark under a team. He's supposed to be this hitting guru, and it hasn't happened. You have 2 hitting coaches now, so it's not.
Well, I don't. As we've been through this before, I don't have the problem with Charlie that you do, Starkey. And I'm not saying you're wrong and I'm right, but I just don't think that's. I think this is a very mediocre roster, and it's going to take time to fix it, and it's going to take farm system development, player development to fix it. They're not in very good shape. I mean, that's just going now and going forward. The Phillies are kind of depressing.